Hey there, folks. Welcome to the charts. Today is June the 4th, 2025. I'm just going to show you what I've been working on today. I did a little bit of trading and I did a little bit of programming, so just cleaning some stuff up. But one of the things I looked at today is just generally, if you look at the chart, we did have red folder news here. You see the red folder news, and the way that I have it work is that it will make a box, a rectangle on this candle that the news comes out on. All right, and so if you notice here, like where we have this OB bid, so this is what I call my order block bids. I don't know what other folks call order blocks, but what I call order block is when you have a lot of volume on the chart, and you see how you have a bunch of bids here. I call this a block, right? But it's specifically a block if you have like a bunch of fours, threes, or if you have like tens or something like that. Something significant and something that appears to be obvious that maybe a larger player is trying to break up their position into smaller parts, but they just run one on top of another. So as price came down here, retraced to the pretty much like to the low area of the day, price bounced really nicely off that and came back up. Now if you see on one of my other charts here, you see that also general area is an area of swing lows or potential demand. So this 3 here signifies that this price level here has bounced on this at least 3 times, right? And to bounce off of it, it has to have at least a number of bars on the right side, a number of bars on the left side. It's got to be a swing pivot. So if we change the scale on this and then we drag this here, you see that 3 right there, it's around this 59.76. If we zoom over, there's a bounce there, still going over. That was 1. I don't know if this is 1 or not, but okay, so that was 1, but it just, and I don't have it including the highs. That blue one is just for the lows. So at any rate, that's what the program does, is it finds the number of swing lows are blue, and then these swing highs are red. So there's 3 swing highs here. So one of the things I thought about while I was sitting here is that instead of making this just at this specific price level, 59.75 or whatever it is, I'm going to make a script that will capture the range, right? So I'll put in some input that will say, all right, well, let's have a range of 3 points. And in a 3-point range, we're going to capture how many swing lows have happened in that 3-point range. So I'm going to work on that probably tomorrow, because that probably have a little bit of complexity to it. All right, so I think that's, we're going to try this for a 3rd time here. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's go back to what I'm actually working on for today. Just really quickly that I wanted to show you. All right, so what I wanted to show you for today is how to use the debugger. I have a script here that I was working on, and I had an error. I upgraded the script one afternoon, and then I didn't necessarily get to test it before closing out for the day. And so when the day opened up today, or when I decided to apply it again, we see that there's an error. So I want to show you how I resolve that error using the debugging process. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to, so right now it currently works, right? Because it pulls this indicator here. Okay, so it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change it back to what didn't work. What didn't work was that I had these 2 flip-flopped. Okay, I had this flip-flop with this. Okay, so I want to comment out the one that works, uncomment out the one that doesn't work, hit verify, and when I hit verify, then I get this error here. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Now I went through and I just kind of went through the syntax of everything, the logic of everything. Everything seemed to go pretty good, but then I got to this point and I said, well, it's still not working, so I got to figure something out. So you see these dots here. This is a part of the debugging process. So the debugging process is what allows you to pretty much go line by line and run your program on one of your charts, and it will stop at points along the way so that you can try to figure out what's going on. Okay, so if you look at my error here, it says that there's an error in this task updated method event handler. All right, so my event handler is here, task updated, and that's why I said I kind of went through this whole thing and there were I couldn't find the error. So let's do this. All right, and then so you see here these dots. To get to those dots, you go to debug, and then you go to toggle breakpoint, right? So it's just F9. So I can hit F9 on my keyboard, turn it off, turn it back on. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will turn it on and then turn it on, and then I'll leave this one on down here. Okay, and so what you have to do now is you have to go to debug, and then you have to go to start debugging. It asks you what chart you want to apply it to. I'm just going to apply it to one of the charts that I was pretty much working in, like a 15-second chart. So I hit 15 second, hit OK, and then it'll go ahead and start to run the program. So it started to run the program. It got to my first toggle point here, and everything seems to be good. It didn't give me an error, right? Okay, so then the next thing is to go to the next one. So I've got a shortcut for it, but again, you go to debug, you go to step into, so continue debugging, and then so it goes to the next one, and then this seems to be okay also. It didn't throw an error, and then you go to the next one, debug, and then continue debugging, and so there it gives me the error, right? So it gave me the error between this guy that works and between this one, because it never made it down here. So the error lies somewhere in here. And so again, by process of elimination, I was able to figure out that this was the issue here. And what this issue here is, guys, gals, it is essentially that we are making sure that the task to time sales provider is loaded. But what I have is I'm saying, okay, well, is the tick type, is the for certain event handlers, you get certain information. You can get information from the sender. You can get information from this args. This args information will only appear if you have certain types of events of this time and sales provider. So what I was doing, I was saying, let's just make sure the time and sales provider is loaded, and it is. And then I said, all right, well, let's check the type of args, the tick type of the args, and see if it's a trade. And then after that, we're going to check the reason for the args to fire an event and make sure that reason was something was added. Well, that's fine. That's just in reverse, because at this point, even though we do have a loaded time and sales provider, we don't actually have an args because of the type of event that was thrown. The type of event that was thrown did not give us an args, and so we couldn't reference anything about the args. And that's why it says object reference not set to an instance of an object. The instance of the object is the args. We're trying to reference args, but there is no instance of args. So we just had to flip-flop these. We had to make sure that the time and sales provider is loaded, and that the reason for the event handler firing is that we did have something added. And when we have something added, there will essentially be an args object if there's something added. Okay, so you have to go in order, right? Okay, and so then once we know that there's something added, we know that we have an args, and then we can reference information about the args. What type of trade is it? What type of tick type is it? And with that, that solved our problem. So turn it back on. Okay, and so now we're good to go. All right, guys. This is pretty much all I've got for you for today. So, like I said, I will be coming back at some point, probably tomorrow, with a. You see, we got another order block there for the ask side. You see, like we get a bunch of reds there, and those reds could give us an order block, but the orders have to be greater than 1. It can't just be a bunch of small orders. That's not significant to me. So it's got to be like these 4s here. Those 4s came at 143. That came. I guess that's within this block. But it's probably got a little bit higher threshold. Inputs. Yeah, the block size has got to be, it's got to have a share size of 5 or greater, and it's got to be at least 10 orders in a row, 10 orders in a row that have the size of 5 or greater. So it's kind of cool. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. All right, guys, I've been your host. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.